PNR Networks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNR Networks. And thanks for your support.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Okay, I've got the basket packed. We got the sandwiches. We got the food. We got the blanket. What are you doing?
Bringing the bug spray.
I don't think we need that big of one.
Help me. I told you going to the bulk store was a good idea.
Yeah, I know, but you don't need every can. You just need one. Plus, you're going to be digging around in the sand anyway and running into the surf and letting the fish nibble on your feet.
No, I'm not. Ew, gross. Oh, sunscreen. We don't have any sunscreen. Everybody's free to wear sunscreen.
Oh, boy. At least you've recovered.
Yes.
And I have, too.
Yes.
We're sorry we've been gone, but we have a lot of great stuff as we take a look at the beach movie this week.
Yes.
Plus all of our usual features. And on the way home from the beach, we'll probably stop in where we've been stopping in all summer long. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
And we are headed to the drive-in once again.
For Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer.
With a quick stop at the beach.
Yes.
Good evening, folks, and a hearty welcome to our drive-in theater.
Subject Cinema.
Drive-In Summer.
T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema.
Drive-In Summer.
Ah, yes, sun, sand, and bug spray everywhere. Are you, you're going to suffocate everybody within 20 feet of us. Keep spraying that stuff, honestly.
I defy a mosquito to bite me. I defy a mosquito to find me. I can't even see you anymore.
Welcome to Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 573, day and date, July 9th, 2017. We are so screwed up this summer.
Yeah.
Kim got sick again, then she gave it to me. We've been out for almost 2 weeks, 2 of these shows. We missed the premiere of our new show, which will come up this week. And all kinds of other stuff. We did get a show up on July 4th. Our Rising Stars program, which normally happens on the 4th of July, we wanted to do it right. We want to do it well. And we want to make sure that it's definitely up there for everybody to hear. This is the first year we've ever missed the July 4th weekend. It's going to be done on Labor Day this weekend, Labor Day weekend. So it'll be up in early September as a result. But I know it's going to be kind of a change. And I know this is going to be kind of useless, but how was your week, darling?
Yeah. Well, all right. Yeah, fine. Thank you. Let's make fun of the sick person. I kind of still have a cold. The cold is mostly gone. The cough is lingering. So, that's fun. But it was the 4th of July this week, and how celebrating in America, America's birthday and all that, which was great, Boston had its traditional Boston Pops 4th of July Esplanade shindig hootenanny thing that they do.
Yeah, but this year it was on Bloomberg TV. Normally it's on, Channel 4 here in Boston. Channel 4 news people, unfortunately this year, because they chose a different broadcast partner, you won't see the Pop Spectacular on Channel 4. Go to their website to get information. I'm like...
No, so we got it on Bloomberg TV, which for those of you who are going, what the hell is that?
There's nothing like mating the 4th of July celebration with commercial breaks for all these financial stuff that nobody cares about except people that watch Bloomberg as a living.
Yeah. So
Bloomberg, but I did get a national audience because the last couple of years it's all been local. CBS dropped them a couple of years ago. So
it's a real lot of fun to watch people who have all of the charisma of a crash test dummy talk with, superstars like Melissa Etheridge and Andy Grammer and people like that. Yeah, that was fun.
And the dude from Hamilton.
Yes.
And a bunch of other people that were there too. And then the Armed Forces Chorale or whatever they were. And
yeah.
It was fun. It
that
always
was
is.
very
Keith
cool.
Lockhart is an amazingly talented, funny guy and always good to watch.
The Esplanade journey, because there's no other way to put it, is something that at least if you live in Massachusetts, I would recommend doing it once in your lifetime.
You've never done it?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you have?
I did it once.
Ah.
Never again.
Well, I haven't done it. You're going to make me go by myself?
I don't. No, I love you, so I'm not having you do it.
I won't, but what if I want to do it sometime?
We're not going.
You have to understand, the Esplanade is right on the Charles River, and it's filled with 500,000 to 750,000 people on the 2 days of the show, the rehearsal on the 3rd, and the actual live program on the 4th.
I think, now, older people from Massachusetts can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I think you used to be allowed to stay overnight to mark your spot where you could, No,
they don't do that anymore. You have to wait in line, and you have to run for your spot at 9 a.m.
Yeah, see, that's what I said. I know they don't allow that anymore. I think pre-9/11, you used to be able to go in there overnight and, camp out kind of a thing.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever done that since I've been up here, but I don't know.
No, I might be wrong about that, but it's...
People line up, and at 9 o'clock they open the gates, and everybody rushes through, trying to find their perfect spot. Now, there are seating areas, too, but most people want the lawn in front of directly in front of the Esplanade.
Most people want the lawn because...
directly in front of the hatch shell.
The hatch shell, yes. Which is really exciting and great if you don't mind baking your brains out and paying $7 for a bottle of water.
This is the first year that it hasn't been overwhelmingly hot and humid.
That's true.
The last several years, it has been unbearable on the 4th of July up here. Last year was terrible. It was almost 100 degrees and 90% humidity, and people were out there in the middle of that. And then the year before that, they actually did the fireworks on the 3rd, did they not?
Yeah,
because they were predicting severe weather on the 4th. So it's like, oh my gosh, it was crazy.
And, there's always worries that something could go wrong, which is always a scary thing. But nothing happened,
nothing
so
has
that's
happened
a good
so
thing.
far, knock on wood, and we hope it stays that way.
Yeah.
So, on Drive-In Summer this week, we hope everybody had the wonderful 4th of July celebrations at your local drive-ins. Or your local parks, or wherever you have been.
Yes, and having barbecues and enjoying the fireworks if they're legal where you are.
And even if they're not, because let's face it, most people get fireworks whether they're illegal or not.
And we hope, now that we're going into a new week, that you still have all your fingers, and...
Ew!
What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen with fireworks? You've ever seen anything strange?
I told you this year they actually spelled out the words USA in a couple of the firework displays.
The most...
Which I'd never seen before.
Improper use of fireworks I've ever seen was when I was a teenager, and we were up in New Hampshire at my aunt's place, which was on a lake, and there was a bunch of preteen boys. I might have been a preteen too, and they were shooting off rockets, the small rockets, the small thin ones.
Right.
They were shooting them off into the lake. They would aim them downwards, so they go. Pew.
So these are the kind that are normally they are handheld ones. You got to.
No, they're the ones you stick in the ground.
Oh, okay.
They're on a long stick, and you stick them in the ground, and then you light the fuse, and they go up.
Right.
Well, they were lighting them so they'd go into the lake.
Right.
And they stayed lit underwater.
Well, yeah.
And then they would go, and all the water would just go everywhere.
And killing dozens of fish.
And there was
probably.
dead fish all over the top of the lake the next day.
Right.
Which I was like, I told you that was going to happen.
Well, yeah, we knew that because they tested that on methers actually a few years ago.
Yeah.
Wonderful, perky story. Thank you, honey.
It was just and there was a bat flying above the lake, and they were trying to hit the bat with the fireworks. And I'm like, Mom, make them stop. They're going to hurt that bat and stuff.
And your mother went, oh, Kim.
My mother's looking at me like, why are you trying to protect a bat? And I'm like,
because it might be Batman.
Ha ha. No, because, Kim is a defender of small creatures everywhere, no matter what they look like. And that's, just...
I'm so glad you haven't seen the footage with the bunny.
Oh.
We have a bunny up here that's running around. I forget which city it is. It was hit by an arrow, and the arrow is sticking out of its back. Like it's through the small part of its neck where it probably isn't hitting any organs or limbs or anything. But she would have been freaking out, and they still haven't caught it. They've been trying to catch it so they can
I would have probably
help it.
Screamed till a wind.
Yeah, she would have been freaking out. Anyway, that has nothing to do with what we're going to be talking about right here as we head out to the beach and the drive-in as we combine the two with a look back on Microfocus at beach movies. Subject Cinema Microfocus.
Nothing is greater than the sand serpents out there. Yeah, we're surfing all day and we're swinging all night. Vacation is here. Beach party tonight.
Beach Party, for the most uproariously uninhibited unveiling of today's pagan rites.
The Samoan puberty dance all over again.
The observing professor is Bob Cummings. Dorothy Malone is the professor's assistant, who can teach a few things herself.
After you write this book on sex,
Yeah?
read it.
Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello, two youngsters in love you'll
Oh,
love.
look, honey. Let's read. It's Frankie and Annette over there, an unreasonable facsimile.
Oh my gosh, really?
What? Well, look at those. They look just like them.
Yeah, they do. You're right.
Harvey Lembeck.
Beach parties. Beach party films. That's our discussion this
And
week.
beach films. Beach films have been a staple of teenage film going since the late 1950s. Many of them were at drive-ins throughout the 50s and 60s.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The genre ran from 1958 or so to 1966 when the Hot Rod and the biker movies took over.
Yeah. Beach party movies were a way for films to get out there that actually somebody finally realized, oh, hey, you know what? If we have a beach party movie, we can combine stuff that will get kids into movie theaters. Teenage music and people not wearing a lot of clothes. So,
and implied sex and drinking and everything else.
well, not a lot in the early stuff.
No, there weren't.
That, the fact that you had girls in bikinis in early films, I'm sure caused a whole lot of pearl clutching in certain parts of the country.
Right.
But, when you look back at these films now, especially the films from the 60s,
especially the films from the 60s produced by American International Pictures.
Yeah.
Better known as AIP.
Yep. I think the word that would come to mind, I can't speak for everybody, but the word that comes to mind for me is quaint.
Schmaltzy.
Well, I was trying to be nice with quaint, but schmaltzy works too.
They didn't really take off that way until the mid-'60s, but there were some films before that. A couple of Gidget movies released in the 1950s, starring Sandra Dee, Gidget and Gidget Goes Hawaiian. And then there was a few hot rod movies that kind of combined the two of them. But the first really big beach film, I think, overall, was 1960's Where the Boys Are, with Connie Francis singing and starring in this film. Mm-hmm. They made a remake in the mid-'80s with Lisa Hartman and a bunch of other people. I've forgotten who did the remake. That established the kind of tone where there'd be teenagers, light sexual banter between adolescents,
Yeah.
hot current pop music, And
when we say pop music, though, we do have to stress that by pop music in these sort of films, this is the safe pop music. There
wasn't anything but safe music when it came to pop music in that period.
There were things that could be a little cheeky. And even the cheeky stuff was too cheeky for these kind of movies. They definitely
What do you define as cheeky? Because I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, something... I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. Well, you could definitely not see somebody like Pat Boone doing a song that's got kind of a sly wink reference in it to,
I don't think Pat Boone did a beach movie, but I might be wrong.
I'm saying that kind of safe sort of hand-holding, I love you, Bobby Sue kind of songs, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
Yeah. Safe stuff.
Safe stuff.
Boring stuff. White bread
A
stuff.
lot of those are classic songs now.
All right.
And it also included a lot of what's known as surf music.
Right. Well, surf music came a little later, though.
Well, no. It hit in the 60s with these movies. Dick Dale actually co-starred in several of these films. So it's like...
Yeah, but I'm saying that was a little later than Where the Boys Are. That was more like the 63, 64.
Right, true.
A little
but
bit
surf
later
music, when I say surf music, I'm talking guitar surf, not
Right.
Beach Boys stuff.
Right.
Anyway, which is also kind of safe in its own way.
Some of it is. I mean, a song like Wouldn't It Be Nice did cause...
That was actually one of their later songs.
But that did cause a bit of raised eyebrows. So.
Yeah.
Specifically that song.
So most of the big films in the beach movies were done by AIP. And most of them, they took off mainly because they teamed a pop star with a Vestal Virgin from the Disney Company. Mm-hmm. Frankie Avalon had already done a couple of big movies for AIP.
He was already established as a teen idol singer.
Right, and he had done Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea by that point, too. That's a great movie. Stop complaining about it. Annette was known for her years on the Mickey Mouse Club, and by this point was in her early to mid-20s.
Yeah, she really filled out that sweater on the Mickey Mouse Club, too. And for those boys that wondered what was under the sweater, this movie gave them a chance to see what was under the sweater.
Allegedly, it was said that Walt would not let her do these films unless she promised not to wear a bikini. Mm-hmm. She was under contract to Walt Disney. It turns out Walt didn't even get involved. Walt's people told her that she could do it if she didn't wear a bikini, and Walt had a conniption fit, so much so that Samuel Arkoff, the producer of the Beach Party and its successors, went to Walt and broke bread and had made peace with Walt Disney, who was one of the most powerful moguls in Hollywood at that point.
And she did wind up wearing bikini...
Later on, bikini-esque stuff, yeah.
I mean, you look at a picture of the Frankie and Annette stuff, the bikini that she's wearing... Technically, I suppose you could call that a bikini. I mean, it's not what I would think of when I think of a bikini, but, it technically is a top and a bottom, and there's a little bit of midriff showing. Yeah. So I suppose it's a bikini.
She wore a one piece in the first 2 or 3 films, though.
Usually white. You'd never see her in like a black bikini or something like that because, you know. She was, people talk about how Disney princesses get used now, live action Disney princesses, and I'm like, guys, that's not a new thing. Anybody who thinks it's not a new thing, folks. Everything old truly is new again.
There were basic elements in all of these films. It was lots of teenagers, lots of dancing on the beach, lots of, going to second base probably. Some of the teams, despite what Samuel Arkoff had said at an interview at one point, some of these teams did smoke, some of them did drink, they weren't all, totally innocent kids.
Usually those weren't the main characters.
Avalon smoked in several of the movies. So, yeah. He smoked in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea in his earlier films, too. That was no secret. He quit later in life, but...
Right.
But it's like they weren't perfect, and then there was also usually, as they got more and more goofy, they would throw in these ridiculous side plots that came out of what you would think would be a Disney film. A kidnapping plot or a take over the world mad scientist thing that wasn't terribly unlike the Brady Bunch in Hawaii later, or all these little elements, and they would have big stars come in in doing. I mean, a whole bunch of big stars appeared in these films in minor roles. A lot of them were on their way out, which is really terrible to say, but they were stars.
They were at the twilight of their careers.
Yeah,
it's not a nice way to put it, but there it is.
Well, not all of them were at the twilight of their careers.
No.
Vincent Price did one. Which one did he do? Dr. Goldfoot or
actually, he did two of them. He did two of the. Vincent Price, one of my favorite all-time actors in the history of ever,
rightfully so,
appeared in two of these kind of. Well, one of them was a beach movie. The other one was more of a spy spoof. He did
the first
Dr. Goldfoot and the Bikini Machine and Dr. Goldfoot and the Girl Bombs. He played the titular mad scientist, Dr. Goldfoot. Gee, I wonder what that was supposed to be.
And he actually, the second one isn't considered a beach movie, but the first one is.
Yeah.
They had pop stars popping up in them from. I mean, I'm just looking at the list of the different. Musical acts who appeared in some of these movies. You had the Beach Boys, you had Bobby Fuller 4, who were pretty big back then. James Brown appeared in something called Ski Party. James Darren, The Animals, Jan and Dean. They all would make Little Richard and Catalina Caper, which is a god-awful film.
It has been
it was Misty. It
has been featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000, and boy, did it deserve it.
Yeah, the Del Airs appeared in the horror of Party Beach, which we're going to talk about later on in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And of course,
sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Like you mentioned, a lot of people that you would not think of being in a teenage movie, much less one of these beach films, wound up being in these kind of films that you're going, what the hell? Mm-hmm. You had somebody like silent film icon Buster Keaton in How to Stuff a Wild Bikini, and that's just wrong.
Well, if he wanted to do it, there's no problem with it.
No, I understand. No, I know. He also appeared in Sergeant Deadhead along with Eve Arden, Cesar Romero, and Gail Gordon. You had Basil Rathbone, Boris Karloff, and Francis X. Bushman appearing in The Ghost in the Invisible Bikini.
Which was officially the last film of the beach movies. It bombed badly at the box office, and AIP went on to its biker film. So, Also, Peter Lorre, Elsa Lanchester, Eve Arden, Gail Gordon. So many people appeared on these.
Yeah. They actually did go into the biker stuff slightly in the beach films.
They did, yeah.
The bikers were usually the comic heavies, usually led by a character named Eric Von Zipper.
Yeah, he was in a number of different movies, and he's the only character that appeared in a bunch of different movies with the same character. Other people would appear in these movies from movie to movie because they had a stock group of players, but they were not always playing the same characters. He was.
Yes.
Which was interesting. It's like the Travis Von Winkle character from Transformers, who later died in Friday the 13th.
That's true.
There's a name drop if you ever look it up, folks.
These were obviously the way the character is dressed, specifically the Eric Von Zipper character, is obviously supposed to be more of a parody of Brando's appearance in The Wild One.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just the whole look of the character. This is obviously people. The bikers in these films are more of a comic nuisance kind of a plot device.
The bikers of this type of movie later would come back to life in the Power Rangers films as Skull and Bulk.
Yeah.
That's the kind of characters that they were in these movies.
Yeah.
To relate it to a modern day audience.
Yeah, as opposed to the later 60s stuff where you had biker gangs either being the flat-out antagonists of the film or the tragic, allegedly protagonists or anti-heroes in films like The Wild Angels.
Yeah, we'll be talking about biker films next week. The fun about these, I'm trying to find the list of cast here that I wanted to show that showed it. The same gentleman played Eric Von Zipper in all of these
Harvey
films.
Lembeck.
Thank you. He's Michael Lembeck's dad. Michael Lembeck, you might remember from Captain Cool and the Kongs. He was also on One Day at a Time for a few seasons, and is now a very well-known director and producer for television and whatever. But his father was playing that character, and it was the best-known role he had.
Yep. Well, he was definitely, his father, Harvey Lembeck, was definitely one of those, hey, it's that guy.
Yeah, and known
from
mostly
60s,
for comedy.
Yeah, from 60s and 70s episodic TV, he was definitely falls into the, hey, it's that guy, character actor kind of a part. And, I mean, let's be perfectly honest and call it what it is. These films are not Shakespeare.
Oh, no, they're not. They're bad. Most of them, I mean, they're fun romps. They're fun wastes of time.
Yeah.
For even when you're a teenager, you're going to go to see this for a waste of. They were going to neck. They weren't going to watch the movie.
No.
They could listen to the movie and neck in the car.
Yeah.
That was the whole point. I mean, so many of them were directed by William Asher, who would later be best known as the producer for Bewitched and as Elizabeth Montgomery's husband at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He directed the majority of these: Beach Party, Muscle Beach Party, Bikini Beach, Beach Blanket Bingo, How to Stuff a Wild Bikini, and Fireball 5000, which was one of the crossover biker beach films. That one was with Annette, or one. Frankie was in one, and Annette was in the other one. They weren't in both. They weren't in the same ones together. I mean,
if you look at, I remember actually they used to run. So for some reason, Beach Blanket Bingo sticks out in my mind a lot from when I was a young girl. And watching, TV, syndicated stuff on Saturdays, Saturday afternoons and whatnot. I seem to remember one of our local stations, WLVI Channel 56,
what a shock,
ran the hell out of a lot of the Beach Blanket Bingo movies and the Muscle Beach Party and all that stuff like that.
They probably came in a huge AIP package.
I just remember watching this stuff, and being a small child and
thinking, oh my God, this is stupid.
Well, I just remember thinking to myself as a small child, thinking like, people don't really sing and dance like this in real life, do they? I mean, and when I say small, I mean 4 or 5, thinking that, people don't burst into song on the street when I'm out shopping with my mother, you know. And also thinking, if this is the way grown-ups act, grown-ups are very strange.
Now, the official list of official beach party movies from AIP consists of the following films: Beach Party, Muscle Beach Party, Bikini Beach, Pajama Party, Beach Blanket Bingo, Ski Party, How to Stuff a Wild Bikini, Sergeant Deadhead, Dr. Goldfoot and the Bikini Machine, and The Ghost of the Invisible Bikini, with the 2 side films after that, Fireball 500 and Thunder Alley, which deal with a combination of beach and biker stuff, or beach and hot rod stuff, actually, not biker. And so it's a little bit of those are the official movies, but all of the studios got into producing beach-oriented films. Some of them were comedies. Some of them were comedies. Some of them were just bad, and they were exploitive. And we'll talk about a couple of those in our Attack of the Bee movies, because those were beach movies mixed with the B-movie horror genre, and they were ridiculous. And you had a lot of musical stars starring in their own beach party movies. The only ones that did more than one were Herman's Hermits. They did Where the Boys Meet the Girls and Hold On, both of which have partial beach settings. And, I mean, Hold On is more of she I put her through Hold On a few years ago.
I still haven't forgiven you,
I bought the
way.
DVD from Warner On Demand, and it's not a bad little film. I mean,
it's not a good little film either.
It's not a good little film, but it's not a terrible film, and it has the distinct footage that is fantastic, filmed at Ocean Beach Park, which was a very major. I don't know how to put this. It was a major amusement park in Venice, California, that I know about because it had long since been dismantled and destroyed, and it was where all the Dogtown guys went to surf in the wreckage of it.
Yeah.
And
which was actually shown
prominently in Lords of Dogtown.
Yeah, in Lords of Dogtown, yeah.
But it wasn't a terrible movie. And, I mean, the music was great. I loved them. Herman's Hermits were one of the better backs of the
It was another example of, as a group of actors, the guys in Herman's Hermits were really good singers.
Yeah, well, Peter was a good actor. The rest of them wasn't.
Well, Peter was.
Peter had acted before.
Peter Noon is a fine actor, but everybody else sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, the other guys in the band couldn't act their way out of a wet paper bag.
And notice, all of the bands that did the beach films were not the Beatles.
No.
The Beatles knew better. In the 4 films that they made, they knew better than to do a beach film. So it's like, okay, this is not going to... You got to give them credit for that too, even though I don't give them enough credit sometimes because I really am not that huge a fan of them. But it's like some of their stuff is really good, and they do get credit for not having ruined their reputation with the beach film.
Really?
Is there anything about these films that you think is remotely fun?
No.
Oh, they're fun to watch.
My idea of a fun beach party film is Jaws, but that's only because, No, I'm just kidding. It's a party for Bruce.
You find them fun to parody or
Oh,
misty.
I find them fun to misty the hell out of because they're just... Well, the fashions back then... I do not understand. I really, honest to goodness, don't understand. And I noticed it today. We were watching some terrible trailers earlier on today, and we saw a trailer for this awful piece of dreck called Blast Off Girls.
Oh yeah,
terrible trailer.
Not a beach movie, but it's 60s stuff, and the fashions were terrible.
Awful movie. But you see this look also in the beach movies, including Horror of Party Beach, that you see these young-ish women. They weren't teenagers. I don't care,
No, they weren't.
Teenagers.
They weren't. They weren't.
Teenagers. Dr. Evil quotes.
Now stop. They were in their 20s. Most of them. Anyway. I'm not going any further because that would be catty. But and they've got bathing suits on or bikinis or whatever, and they're showing a lot of skin, and there's nothing wrong with that. The human body is a beautiful thing. But you've got these women out there, and they've got these kerchief things tied on their heads like Russian grandmothers, and I'm like, and it became a fad. Actually,
yeah, I'm like, this look sucks. Who thought this was a good idea? You're out there showing off, you're showing off your bazongas, you're showing off your behind, you're out there, showing off as much as you can, shaking what your mother gave you, and your head looks like a, Eastern European babushka.
Yeah.
What the hell?
There are two very famous parodies of beach movies also that were done by 70s television that were a riot. One of them airs frequently as part of Carol Burnett and Friends. It was a Carol Burnett spoof, which they called Beach Blanket Boo Boo, with Steve Martin as Frankie and Carol as Annette. Mm-hmm. And it is a scream. If you've never seen it's Carol Burnett show. If you've never seen it, it's a scream. And Steve was at the top of his game. This was when King Tut was out, when Let's Get Small was out. He was at the top of his game when he did this. The other one, done later that year, ironically enough, in November of 1978, was Beach Blanket Bimbo from Outer Space, which is the famous Saturday Night Live sketch with all of the original cast members. You had Bill Murray and Gilda Radner. Oh, well, the second, no, Chevy Chase was long gone by then. Bill Murray and Gilda Radner doing Frankie and Annette, John Belushi doing Eric Von Zipper, Dan Aykroyd as Vincent Price, and Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia in a gold bikini.
In the gold bikini.
And it is freaking hysterical. And Carrie, I remember reading something, God love her, we lost her last year, and
entirely too soon.
Way too soon. Carrie, I remember reading something where she thought that one sketch was better than anything she'd done in the movie. She thought it was hysterical.
The thing is, I never saw that.
Carrie's problem.
I never saw.
She had a ball sense of humor.
I didn't see that when it first aired. I remember seeing that when Saturday Night Live was running on
syndicated reruns.
Yeah, maybe it was MTV running them at one point, or somebody was
one of the
them.
cable networks were, yeah.
And I remember laughing my head off. And then out comes Dan Aykroyd, supposedly as Vincent Price, and it was like taking the needle off a record. I was like, that's not funny.
Very effeminate Vincent Price.
I
liked his portrayal. He was funny, but it was over the top.
I was like, no, that shite ain't funny. I was, you can do stuff as far as I'm concerned, but you start mocking Vincent Price, and I will choke a bitch.
Right.
It's just.
There was another movie that came out in 1987, and it was a attempt to revisit those films. What are you rolling your eyes for? Have you seen this?
Part of it, yes.
I thought it
couldn't
was
sit
hysterical.
I couldn't sit through it. I was like, that's it. I quit.
1987's Back to the Beach, which got thumbs up from Siskel and Ebert, by the way, was a comedy starring Frankie and Annette in the basic roles. They couldn't use the same...
They couldn't
necessarily say they were the same people.
No.
Because they belonged to... The rights were with Orion, and the movie was through Paramount. Where they were in their middle age, living in Ohio, raising a rebellious young son, and their daughter was living in California going to school, and they stopped in California to visit with their daughter on their way to a family trip in Hawaii, and finds out she's shacking up with this surfer dude.
She's doing the same thing they did
and
when
they ended
were
up
teenagers.
running into all their old friends, and their son and their daughter find out about this secret life as surf bunnies and dudes that these two parrots had. It's a riot. I thought it was hysterical when I saw it.
Maybe if I saw it again, I might find the humor in it. I just remember sitting there being like, this...
It didn't do well at the box office, despite getting decent reviews and a great score from Stephen Dorff and a lot of great pop music and classic surf songs and Pee Wee Herman. So it wasn't that bad. There was also a terrible, and I saw this too, and I bet you haven't seen it, Surf 2, The End of the Trilogy.
No.
Does that make any sense?
Mm-mm.
No.
Not really.
It was one of those parody movies that came out, and then, every genre was being parodied in the wake of Airplane's success, and the surf music movie was no exception. In 1984, they put together a bad spoof of beach movies, called Surf 2, The End of the Trilogy, which was a mix of 60s beach and 70s horror movies, where a mad scientist was kidnapping surfers and turning them into garbage-eating zombies.
Right.
Yeah, I saw this on cable. It is it's so bad it's not even funny. It's supposed to be a comedy. It's so bad it's not even funny.
Oh, that's
even
great.
Trauma points to this and says that's bad. This is how bad that film was. There's been other things in beach movies, and they did get into the kind of crazy stuff, like we said with the Dr. Goldfoot movie and a few other ones. But a few producers decided to go the full way and take the concept of the monster flick, which was so popular in the 50s, and combine it with the beach movie. And in our Attack of the B-Movie segment, we're going to talk about two of those, and that'll be coming up shortly, so be sure to stick around, and you'll hear more about the beach party movies.
When Subject Cinema returns, gird your loins, this is gonna hurt.
Subject Cinema! Drive this summer!
Want to know what new films are coming out this weekend? Hi, I'm TC Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out 3 Minute Weekend, our weekly roundup of all the new films hitting U.S. theaters each weekend. We've got the 411 on all the new blockbusters, indies, and video-on-demand choices for you each week. 3 Minute Weekend, every Friday morning, from Subject Cinema and eCinemaOne.com, a PNRNetworks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service. Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer is co-presented by Going Attractions, the definitive story of the American drive-in, from director April Wright. You can check it out right now on Amazon Prime or order the DVD at goingattractions.com.
Going Attractions, the definitive story of the American drive-in movie. A new documentary available now on DVD. The collector's edition is loaded with special features. You can get Going Attractions in your snack bar now.
Don't forget to subscribe to Subject Cinema on iTunes. Click on the iTunes link on our sidebar or search for Subject Cinema on iTunes. Once you're there, click subscribe. It's that easy. And don't forget to leave us a comment on our iTunes page and tell everyone what you think of Subject Cinema too.
Subject Cinema! Drive this summer!
Is the next step the transplantation of the human brain?
The giant locusts have reached the Chicago South Side and nearby suburbs.
Flag on the moon. How did it get there?
That bird is extraterrestrial.
Now that's ridiculous, Eulabelle.
Jerry just tried to kill me twice in the last 5 minutes.
Because all you of Earth are idiots. There are eyewitness accounts which state that monster scorpions have swarmed around the wreckage.
The B-movies.
While the beach set twists to the big beat sound of the Delaires, swinging out with 6 rocking hits. While the cycle gangs burn up the road and strong arm...
We're kind of cheating this week and doing our own double feature with Attack of the Bee movies, because these movies are both beach movies in the slimmest sense.
Well, there's a beach.
The first one is actually a beach movie. Because they have parties on the beach. That's the whole point of the movie.
That's the whole point of the movie.
The second one, there's a beach party in the movie, but it's not about the whole movie.
No, but there are sea creatures, so that should actually count. Sort of, kind of.
Tell us a little bit about 1964's Horror of Party Beach.
Oh, boy.
Missy on the original Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yes. Horror of Party Beach is considered the first monster movie musical and probably should be the last because this is a terrible idea. The story of this film is the idea that a small boat is off of the east coast of the North America, and the boat makes trips out into the water, into not deep out to sea, but close enough to shore you can still see the shore, and dumps radioactive toxic waste into the water.
Da da da!
Somewhere a Native American is crying. The thing is...
You can't say that anymore. It's probably going to be considered racist. Despite the commercials that ran when we were kids with Jay Silverheels.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
No.
Was it?
It was
No.
Ironized Cody.
Ironized Cody, sorry. Sorry, I got it wrong.
Give a hoot, don't pollute. And I just carbon dated my butt. Anyway, the thing is, one of these tanks of barrels, I should say, of toxic sludge springs a leak, as they're wont to do in these movies, and the resulting pollution winds up contaminating a dead body that's in the water somehow or whatever, and it brings the body back to life and somehow fuses the corpse with undersea plant life and fish or something, and winds up creating these deadly monsters that come ashore and start attacking women and drunk people on the
and women,
beach.
Drunk women.
Yeah. In the low... Well, they only attack 2 guys, but they're probably because they're drunk and can't defend themselves. Mm-hmm. But mostly these things seem to be attracted to girls. Pheromones, I don't know. Anyway. The local area is, needless to say, in a panic. Panic, 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 panic. Just like that.
Yep.
And it's up to a local scientist to save the day once they realize that what can kill these creatures is good old-fashioned sodium.
Metallic sodium.
Metallic sodium. Not just people can't run around and splash these things with Morton's table salt and they'll die. Oh, boy. While this is going on, there's a romance between the scientist's daughter and her white bread, paramour. There's a biker gang at the beach causing problems. There's, like I said, people being killed, and good grief, this movie hurts.
The sleepover was, I think, the best part of the entire film.
Yeah.
Because it's just so funny. And they only had money for 3 costumes, was that right?
I think so, yeah.
This film stars John Scott as Hank Green.
I think stars is a bit of an overstatement.
Hank Green? Nah, can't be that same Hank Green. Hank Green would be appalled at that.
Different Hank Green.
Well, I don't even think he was born at that point in
Anyway.
time. Alice Lyon as Elaine. No, I know he wasn't because I was only a year old at that point, and Hank's not even 40 yet. Alice Lyon as Elaine. Alan Laurel as Dr. Gavin. Eula Bell Moore as Eula Bell, the maid at the house. Stereotype much? Marilyn Clark as Tina, Augustin Mayer as Mike, Damon Kebroyd as Lieutenant Wells, Monroe Wade as the TV announcer, Carol Grubman, Dina Harris, and Emily Laurel as the girls in Cars, Sharon Murphy as First Girl. Hey, there's a great part for you. First Girl, you're up for First Girl.
Yeah.
Diane Prizio as Second Girl, and an appearance by the Charter Oaks MC as Motorcycle Gang, and the Del Airs.
Yep.
Who are the vocal group of this movie's choice.
Yes.
Oh my God, this movie is so bad it is absolutely hysterical. If you've never seen it,
is so awful. It's awful. It's insulting. I mean, the character of Eula Bell, while Eula Bell is a very nice lady, she's obviously cares very much for the family she works for. You know, she
is a very stereotypical African-American caricature.
Yes, talking about the voodoo and all this stuff like that, and I am cringing so hard. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And almost doing the whole, I ain't birth of no babies, Miss Scarlet, kind of voice.
I'm sitting here thinking to myself...
This is 1964.
I'm sitting here thinking to myself, people are getting attacked with, police dogs and fire hoses and stuff in other parts of the country, and this is happening. Seriously?
What's really scary is the film. Most beach parties, most beach films take place on the sunny surf and shore of California. This was shot in Stamford, Connecticut.
Yeah, because when you
now possibly best known as the home of the WWE.
Yeah, because when you think beach parties and stuff, you're automatically going to think of Connecticut. What?
Oh my God! This movie is so bad, and the costumes are so hysterical.
The Del Airs, who I feel incredibly bad for because they're actually a pretty good band, do a couple of songs in the film. One song is called "The Zombie Stomp."
Yeah.
And the other song that I can think of is the song called "Elaine," which is actually at the end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
The monsters in this film, Sweet Caroline.
They're bad. They're bad.
Oh my gosh.
They are some. I mean, there are some goofy looking monsters in the 50s movies.
Oh yeah.
Without a question, the giant claw, perhaps the goofiest looking of all.
Yeah, but at least that one has
slightly frightening about it.
You can honestly say at least that one was a marionette. That one wasn't some poor schlub in a suit.
In a fish costume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Walking fish costume.
It was... Well,
oh, my God, they're
you
hilarious.
show me a fish that looks like that.
It sort of looks like a fish, and it smells like fish, because they say it smells like fish in the movie.
There's a couple of jokes.
Not going there. Family show.
I know. We already talked about the slumber party scene anyway. Hey-o!
But I'm Ching.
I mean, when you've got one of these monsters, I'm like, I completely do not understand what the costuming department was thinking with the
Dr. Evil quotes costuming department.
With the one monster that is this, he's got this big head with these boogly kind of Cookie Monster eyes, and it looks like his mouth is stuffed full of hot dogs. I don't know.
They're supposed to be tentacles, but yeah, they look like hot dogs.
Is that what they're supposed to be? I'm like, are they tentacles? Are they tongues? Are they
tentas.
Something else?
They're tentas. They're only half a tentacle. They're tiny.
They don't move. That's the whole thing about tentacles. They move.
I know.
I mean, I'm watching this and I'm going, I've seen enough hentai. I know where this is going, but we didn't go there, thank goodness.
The original release of the film was paired with another feature by the producer-director Del Tenney called Curse of the Living Corpse. We've actually seen the trailer for that, and we don't really want to go into that. It was, the theaters were actually, and drive-ins were actually pushed in castle style to have people sign a release for these movies saying that, they release the theater of all responsibility for death by fright. Death by fright? No. Death by hysterical laughter and not being able to breathe? That's a possibility.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can a bad movie actually kill you because it's just so bad?
Because it's so bad that you can't stop laughing?
Yeah. But even that, the Horror of Party Beach at least had a little catchy song or two by the Del Airs. Even that is better than what was coming.
Blue water and red blood. Thunderbird International Pictures presents Sting of Death, featuring the voice of Neil Sedaka. See a scientific dream turn into a nightmare of terror.
I've got to go out on the reef. Fine. Egon, help me with the party.
As Neil Sedaka sings, teenagers dance in happy abandon, unaware that cruel, merciless death stalks the dancers.
1965 brought us a really horrible film. It's only available through somethingweird.com. I don't know if you can find it on. I don't know if it's on their website or not. I'll check, and if it is, I'll put a link in the show notes. The movie is Sting of Death. Once again, this is combining a beach party theme. The girl and the main lead in the film is having I think it's a 21st birthday party, if I'm not mistaken.
They're on spring break.
Oh, it's a spring break party in Florida.
So it's actually taking place somewhere where there's actually
a beach.
Beaches.
And they're having a beach party as part of their thing, and all these weird deaths start to happen. Mm-hmm. And, oh my God. The costume is hysterically funny.
Okay.
Give us a slight rundown.
The plot of Sting of Death, such as it is about, as we mentioned, a bunch of partying teens partying on spring break.
Including Deanna Lund, who had gone to bigger stardom a year later in Land of the Giants.
Mm-hmm. The whole thing of it is that one of the kids' fathers is a scientist, Dr. Richardson. He is a marine biologist, and his current thing that he's working on is studying jellyfish. I don't really know how much you have to study about a jellyfish. There isn't really much to them. It's just, little blobby body and some stingers. They don't even have a brain, for crying out loud. He has an assistant named Egon, which is never established if that's a first name or a last name, or it's a single name like Cher or something like that. Anyway.
Or Fabian or Donovan. Single names people in the 60s were really hot.
Egon is in love with the doctor's daughter, Karen, but Egon is also more than a little bit creepy, and the kids make fun of him.
He's this movie's version of Torgo from Manos, or the character Ortega from the later film, which was mixed up zombie thing with Raven the Stickler.
Egon seeks revenge against the people that have teased him by going through a scientific procedure that's never really explained because it's so gosh darn stupid, I don't think it could be explained.
He turns himself into a half-man, half-Portuguese man-of-war, which is one of the most poisonous of all the jellyfish.
Yes. Most jellyfish, as you all probably know, you're a smart bunch, have some form of poison. Usually it's not terribly fatal to humans. It's not fun, but it's not
painful,
fatal.
Yeah.
Portuguese man-of-war, along with box jellyfish, which are extremely poisonous.
Yeah.
Portuguese men-of-war are very dangerous. That can kill you if it stings you.
Enough.
And the problem is the fact that Portuguese men-of-war, you have the body, which is this kind of little gas-filled body thing, and you have the tentacles, which can flow out quite a long distance away from the body. I've heard even feet, like a couple of feet away.
Right.
They're that long.
Portuguese man-of-war actually have... I don't know how to describe this. Where most jellyfish have a round, simple body. The Portuguese has a large, inflated... it looks like a potato chip.
It looks like a plastic bag.
Plastic bag. A potato chip floated up as a plastic bag. Or a corn tortilla thrown into hot oil. That expands
it looks
and blows
like
up.
It's kind of like a little inflated bag with a frill on the top.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And these long...
They're beautiful. They're utterly beautiful.
They are
to look
beautiful
at.
in kind of a bizarre, alien-esque sort of not of this earth way. And they have these long, trailing tentacles behind. Now, try and imagine what would happen if you took something like that and merged it with the DNA of a human being.
You get a guy swimming around in a costume with a plastic bag over his head, basically.
Basically, what you get is a guy walking around on land in a wetsuit, complete with flippers, and he's got this big plastic bag on his head. How he breathed in that thing, I have no idea.
I don't either.
Trailing what looked like Mardi Gras beads, and now his touch can kill people.
And he has tentacles too, doesn't he?
No, he just...
No, he doesn't? Okay.
No, that's what I mean. He's got these long strands of tentacle, like, they're not tentacles and they can shoot out and grab people. They're just
true.
there.
Okay.
They're just there.
Right.
And they look like Mardi Gras beads or chandelier beads or something like that.
Okay, right.
In short, this looks about as frightening as a 5-year-old's Halloween costume. Actually, I've seen some 5-year-olds that have frightening Halloween.
The fish from Horror Party Beach are still funnier to look at, though.
This is so overwhelmingly lame. This is lamer than a 3-legged racehorse.
With Joe Morrison as Dr. John Hoyt, using a real name of a great actor. Valerie Hawkins as Karen, John Vella as Egon, Jack Nagel as Dr. Richardson, Sandy Lee Kane as Louise, Deanna Lund as Jessica, Lois Edelman as Donna, Blanche Devereaux as Susan, Doug Hobart as the Jellyfish Man, and an uncredited Neil Sedaka as the entertainment at the beach party.
He's the voice on the radio.
Is he? Oh, I thought he was...
No, he's on the radio.
Oh, he's on the radio. Okay, that's right.
For those of you who thought that the songs in the Horror Party Beach were... If not...
They're not as bad as what comes up in The Creeping Terror.
This is worse than The Creeping Terror.
Oh, I don't think so.
No, this has lyrics. That makes it worse.
Okay. Well, but Neil, you gotta give Neil credit. Neil, at this point in time, Neil's career had started to slip a little bit.
Obviously.
Being nice. He was still getting plenty of songwriting credits, but he wasn't having the recording success that he had in the 50s and early 60s and would later have again in the 70s and 80s. But at this point in time, he was not really having hits in this, and the labels were kind of jumping him around from label to label. And he got a deal somewhere to record some music for this movie. And he recorded something called Jellyfish Song.
Do the Jellyfish.
Do the Jellyfish. The song title is called Jellyfish Song.
Yeah. And
it's included on the soundtrack from this. Neil himself, the only place you can find this is on the gigantic $120 box set of Neil's classic stuff. Mm-hmm. It's never been released on any other album, and I have a feeling it's because Neil's embarrassed by it.
It's complete and utter shite.
I mean, Neil he's in his 70s, he's still performing, still recording, still doing great stuff. He's a great performer, but I bet you he doesn't do this one in concert.
I'd rather listen to Friday than listen to this
song.
Oh,
no. Don't even go there. Don't even go there. Although a movie about a monster that looks like Rebecca Black could be fun to watch.
I don't know. That's not nice. A movie that sings like Rebecca Black, that would be horrifying.
Her voice isn't that terrible. It's the lyrics that are terrible.
Anyway, we actually sat through Sting of Death because we're masochists. Yay!
Well, we saw the trailer, and when they popped it up in its entirety on Something Weird Video, which we had as part of our Comcast package until they stopped doing it a few years ago, and they do still run stuff on their website. I'll see if it's available there.
We watched the trailer, and we both looked at each other, and it was like, we have to see this.
And they had used Neil's song to do lead-ins for some of their stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's Neil Sedaka, isn't it? It sounds like Neil. And sure enough, oh God.
And then we sat there and watched this movie, and it was by the end of the movie, we both looked at each other, and it was like feeling like you'd been through a scourging. You know, it was literally like feeling like someone had whipped your back until you'd been, bloodied and beaten raw.
I don't know. We sat there moaning and groaning and laughing. It was a fun time. It was a fun movie to watch, although it's just terrible.
It is less of a movie and more of an endurance contest, I think would be more accurate.
I don't know about that. I mean, Endurance Test is Birdemic 2.
No, Birdemic 2 is torture.
Okay, fine.
If they showed
you can tell we love bad movies around here.
If they showed that movie at Gitmo, it would have closed the week after. I'm sorry. That thing is a violation of the Geneva Convention.
But
this movie is close.
No, it's not either. It's funny as hell. I'm going to check and see if there's a link and see if you can watch it online. I don't know if it's available, but Something Weird does have some of their stuff running on Fandor also, so we'll have to check that and see. But if you've never seen Horror Party Beach or Sing of Death, this is the chance to do it. Hopefully you can see Sing of Death. I'm not sure. We'll check it. And include those in our loose adaptation of Beach Party movies. And that is this week's Attack of the B Movies.
Well, I'm saying, fella, forget your Cinderella and do the Jella, Jalla, Jella. It's really sweller to do the Jella, Jellyfish. Hey! Monkey.
Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer is co-presented by Going Attractions, the definitive story of the American drive-in, from director April Wright. You can check it out right now on Amazon Prime or order the DVD at goingattractions.com.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.
Popcorn and candy. Yum, yum. Oh, boy. And an orange, too.
Start in 1 minute.
More frightening than the War of the Worlds. More prophetic than things to come. More imaginative than the Time Machine. Now, H.G. Wells' masterpiece of science fiction, The Food of the Gods. The terrifying tale of man fighting for his life against an ecology gone berserk. Marjoe Gortner, Pamela Franklin, the last chance an unsuspecting world has against harmless animals and insects made huge and vicious by the food of the gods, hunting humans in packs, preying on their flesh. The food of the gods. Rated PG, parental guidance suggested. The food of the gods. For a taste of hell.
The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
Subject Cinema. Lively as summer.
It's been a long time since we did an episode of the Casting Couch, and we thought it would be fun to go ahead and going through today's talented, young actors. I know Disney's already got their whole Teen Beach movie franchise going on the Disney Channel, but I thought, what if TC and Kim were doing a remake of the original Beach Party movies? Who would we cast in these roles today? Mm-hmm. Now, let's assume that it's a serious attempt at making them funny comedies today. Not like From Justin to Kelly, which was obviously not a serious attempt. Anyway.
No, it was a serious attempt. It was a serious attempt to cash in on their names. And the fact that people watch them on American Idol. It
was a beach movie. Anyway, so here we go. casting for the main stereotypical characters.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the heartthrob. This is the role that was played by Frankie Avalon in the early movies. He's upstanding. He's got a little bit of wild teenager. He's good at surfing, probably good at skateboarding or whatever was popular. And maybe running around on a bike or a hot rod. What actor would you put in that role today?
Zac Efron.
Oh, how original.
No, I'm trying to think of what would get people into the theater. And for some reason that I don't quite understand, I understand girls find him attractive, and I wouldn't throw him out of bed for eating crackers.
Well, he's a good actor.
He's a good actor. He's got a nice body. He fits that sort of all-American, clean-cut looking kind of character,
You do realize he turns 30 this year, right?
I know. Nothing wrong with that. But he still looks young enough to play those kind of parts, I think. What about you?
Blake Michael. In a second. Blake Michael, who was on Dogs with a Blog for 4 years on Disney Channel. Hunky, long, dark hair, really good-looking guy, a former rising star on our list, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. One of the Disney princes. You don't hear much about the Disney princes. You only hear about the Disney princesses. He was a Disney prince for several years while Dog with a Blog was running. He's got that winning smile, that hunky look, the kind of Brezhnev eyebrows going, and could definitely carry off the heartthrob type of role. What about the heartthrob's best friend, the sidekick, the goofy one that he always hangs out with, the Shaggy or Scooby or Maynard type of character that he plays?
See, that's a little bit harder because those kind of characters are the ones that interest me more, usually. They usually are not as attractive as the lead. I would change that around a little bit. I would probably use someone that was a little as attractive as the lead, but maybe just kind of more goofy. A couple of years ago, I would have said Drake Bell. Because he can do silly. He's got no problem with doing silly.
Another one that's in his 30s now. Apparently terribly jealous of Josh Peck anyway.
I would stick with him, I suppose.
Alex Schaefer.
Oh, that's good.
In a second. Alex is one of the best young character actors performing right now. He's done great stuff. He was actually in that terrible Zac Efron movie, We Are Your Friends, a couple of years ago. And he's this, he's good looking, but kind of in a plain sort of way. And he looks
He's got
better.
a lovely smile.
I love him more so with the scruff. He's had scruff on his face from time to time. He looks really good like that. And he was our number one rising star in 2011, I believe it was, the year when Win came out. And he hasn't really taken off the way we'd hoped so, but he's great in everything we've ever seen him in. And
he has a lovely smile.
And he has the perfect kind of best friend type of attitude. What about the leading lady? Chaste, friendly, liked by everybody. Your definite homecoming queen, friendly homecoming queen of the 2000 oddies. What do
Selena Gomez.
Ooh, hey, I like that. That's good. Selena Gomez, she fits well with Blake Michael too. I'll take her too. That's
I would
good.
actually, I would pick Selena Gomez.
She's a little young for Zac Efron, but
well, they'd make a nice looking couple though.
And what about her best friend?
Ariana Grande. Something tells me you don't really like my choice.
No, not really. No, I don't really like her.
Well, I'm not particularly fond of her singing, and I'm not really fond of her attitude either.
No.
But she does have the dippy best friend thing down pretty well.
Stella Hutchins, who's Vanessa's younger sister and on a bunch of Disney Channel stuff now. She's got the right look, and she's funny and definitely good. And she would go well with Selena. I think she's already done stuff with Selena.
Probably.
So it would be really good. What about the biker guy?
Now, this kind of a character, you have a couple of ways you could go with this. You could actually go with someone who is a tough guy, who is actually physically intimidating. Or you could go with the idea of a tough guy who thinks he's physically intimidating.
Okay.
But actually isn't.
Yeah.
I would go that route.
Yeah.
And I would go with Dane DeHaan. Because I love you, Dane.
You want Dane to rescue puppies, and then you cast him in a role like this?
No, but see, that's the thing. I love you, Dane. I do. I think you're just one of the
2 weeks to his becoming a major star.
I think you're a fantastic actor. You seem like a lovely person. But you always play these characters that are so tortured or so tragic or something horrible happens to them or they're bat guano insane. I'd just like to see him play something wacky and fun. And to be that kind of a character that thinks they're a badass, but they're really not. Mm-hmm. I would like to see him do something silly like that. That would be funny. It would make me laugh.
He's another one that's too old for this.
Well,
33. Charlie McDevitt. I love Charlie. He's on the middle. He plays eldest son Axel. He is so funny. I think that's his name. Isn't that his name, McDevitt? Charlie, I can't remember his last name. I might be wrong with the last name. But that's so against character, because he's this skinny, this skinny, like, gonna blow away in a small wind type of character, and playing this tough, leather-wearing biker guy, and all the chains and stuff, and by people will be intimidated by him.
That's what I mean. You want to do that. I think it would be funny to do it in a way that you have this kind of character that's wearing all the the leather and the chains and all that stuff, and it's almost like this outfit's wearing him down. It's like it's too heavy for him.
Right, okay.
That kind of a thing. And I just think that would be funny.
What about the adult antagonist, like the mad scientist type person?
Well, see, a lot of those films you have like either the mad scientist or the businessman that's trying to take over the beach to put up condos or something like that. I would go with that more than the mad scientist thing. But that's me. Mm-hmm. You have to go with older, but not older.
Right.
I mean,
adult.
Yeah, adult. I would probably go with like Jeff Bridges.
Oh, okay.
Because R.I.P.D. proved he's up for anything. So,
he was the only good thing about that film.
I know. He was. Sorry, Ryan Reynolds, but, and sorry, Kevin Bacon. Although Kevin Bacon would be interesting in that kind of a part, because he's shown he can do comedy too, and be pretty funny at it. So actually, I changed my mind. I think Kevin Bacon would be better.
Okay.
For one thing, then you have the whole 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing nailed down. Hooray! What about you?
I'd like to go with somebody less conventional for that kind of a role, whether it's a businessman or a big like mad scientist or something. Go with somebody kind of unconventional that's a little older, but not terribly older like in the original films. John Cena, completely against type. John Cena's doing this comedy thing with Andy Samberg right now where he has a blonde wig on. He looks hysterical. I'm like, oh my God, really? And if this is a guy who can go out there and be Mr. All-American professional wrestler and voice a giant bull in Ferdinand, I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have fun with this.
It doesn't. I can actually see that because John's a nutcase.
Yeah, he is. He's quite nuts.
No offense, John. Love you, local boy. Oh, you're awesome.
Sort of.
But you're completely bananas, and in a good way. In I mean that in the nicest possible way. Bless your heart. Those are good choices. I like those.
And the cameo on the beach by the bag lady.
What?
This is just a cameo by an older actress on the.
No, I wouldn't go older actress. No.
Oh, okay.
I know who I'd pick.
Okay.
Lady Gaga.
Oh God.
Ta-da! I'm sorry. No. Anything like that just screams Lady Gaga. I'm sorry. I'm a little monster. I can't help it.
No. I think I would go with somebody again completely out of type, and we can actually film it in New York. We can film it right off her house. We'll have Ina Garten do it.
Okay, so that would appeal to you.
Hey, we get all of the Ina fans in to see the movie.
So you. Well, no, I'm not. Well, 14
years on Food Network. It ain't just me.
No, I realize. No, I realize that. No, that The problem is most people who would go to a beach party movie kind of thing and would be like, whose grandma is that?
Right.
You know, and you'd be like applauding wildly because you know who Ina is.
Most people do, actually.
Or Bette Midler.
Oh, Bette Midler would be fun, too.
Yeah.
So those are our casting choices. We'd love to know how you would cast a current beach film. Write to us at subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com. And if you write to us and give us some casting suggestions, we will be happy to read them on the air. Right?
Right.
Subject Cinema. Drive this summer.
eCinemaOne is your choice for great info and commentary about the world of film and entertainment. Daily trailer postings, the latest news and film reviews, commentary about the state of the industry, the weekly Subject Cinema and 3-Minute Weekend podcast, and so much more you won't believe it. New material is being posted daily, so join us each day and see what you're missing out on. Once you visit, you will always be back for more. eCinemaOne from PNR Networks, eCinemaOne.com. Want to listen to Subject Cinema on the go? Check out Stitcher. You can access all the latest episodes right from iPhone or Android. Check it out. Click on the Stitcher logo on our sidebar or go to Stitcher.com and search for your favorite PNR Network show. Get started today.
Subject Cinema. Drive this summer. Dixie Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Anthony's Moments of Madness.
I lost my heart in the rain in a moment of madness.
With Anthony Lamberti.
Anthony here, and on Anthony's Moments of Madness, I'm going to be talking about the movie Twister and the scene at the drive-in. Now, let's talk about this scene, because this is one of the best scenes in the movie Twister. You have everybody at the drive-in theater in this scene. It's crazy. It's kind of like you have people laying on the hood of the car, you have people inside the cars, and of course, what are they showing? A movie I would love to see at the drive-in. The Shining. Stephen King's The Shining. Let's talk about how awesome that would be to see at the drive-ins. Even at the regular movie theaters, but at the drive-in, showing The Shining, that would just be amazing to see. Again, the atmosphere alone, you're outside, you're in looks like the middle of the woods, it seemed like. In this isolated spot, this drive-in theater is, and you're watching The Shining. First of all, that's creepy. It's because it's a great movie, scary movie. And again, you're outside, and you're hearing out of the speaker or on the radio, you just hear that, "Here's Johnny!" That would just be amazing. I would love to see The Shining at the movie theater. But, so, everyone's at the movie theater enjoying this movie, and they go up to the concessions, the main cast, Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton, and they're going up to the concessions, and they order coffees, which is cool in its own right. And outside the concession stands, you have these benches where you can eat the food and have your coffee, sit down and relax. And it just seemed like it was a nice night out, one of those nights that have that nice warm, summer breeze to it. Which is always one of my kind of favorite nights. I'm usually a winter guy, but those nights I do enjoy. So, all of a sudden, as they're watching The Shining, which is terrifying enough, you hear this rumble coming, and the winds are starting to pick up. And all of a sudden, out of the darkness, which was great visual effects in this movie, just out of the darkness, the lightning strikes, and you see the tornado come out of nowhere, which is terrifying in its own. And you only have like seconds, if not minutes, to respond to this huge tornado coming at you. And as the tornado's coming closer and coming through the drive-in, it just tears apart the screen. And people are scrambling, they're running, and there's a auto body shop, I guess, by the drive-in, which is a little weird, and of course a motel as well. But so people are scrambling, getting underground, getting into this this garage, auto body shop, and get down into like one of the pits where you work on the cars. And this tornado's just tearing apart everything in this scene. Unfortunately, the drive-in, the screen is gone. So there goes your Shining. And, cars are getting thrown into the building. People are getting hurt. It was great to see. Not that people got hurt and stuff like that, but it was just a great scene, great visual effects. So if you haven't had a chance to see the movie Twister, see it. I mean, it's been out for a while, so. But speaking of the movie Twister, how awesome would it be to go see that at a drive-in theater? That would be such a great movie to see at a drive-in. You got the big old screen, and it's basically like watching a Twister coming at you, if you think about it, because you're outside and you're watching this movie on this huge screen, and all of a sudden the big Twister at the end of the movie coming, just looking like it's coming at you through the screen. It'd just be a great thing to see. So, if you haven't seen the movie Twister, please see it. One of my favorites, all-time favorite movies. Yes, Twister is one of my all-time favorite movies. I would love to see it at a drive-in theater. So, if you have a chance, see the movie. You'll see the scene. You'll see what I'm talking about. And let me and TC and Kim here know what you think at Subject Cinema of that scene in Twister, and also of the movie in Twister. Alright, well, until next time, this is Anthony signing out.
The best movies! Subject Cinema!
Want to know what top titles from film and TV are hitting home video this week? Hi, I'm TC Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out Tuesday Digidex, our weekly roundup of all the new home video releases in the U.S. each week. Whether it's DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming you're looking for, we've got it covered. Tuesday Digidex, every Tuesday morning, from Subject Cinema at eCinemaOne.com, a PNRNetworks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service.
Na 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 Pee-wee. And holy rusted metal, it's Aunt B too.
Hi, I'm Aunt B. Join myself and Pee-wee every week as we cover comic books, comic stuff that's happening on TV, comics in the movies.
And we'll be doing it all in our tightest tights and our capiest capes in our secret lair.
Comic Grotto, where two guys light up the bat signal. www.comicgrotto.com.
Subject Cinema! Drive-in summer!
Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer Salutes are co-presented by driveins.com, your one-stop source for all information on drive-ins around the U.S. and around the world. You can find it at drive-ins.com. Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer Drive-In Salute this week salutes the Mahoning Drive-In Theater in Lehighton, we think it's pronounced, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. They have been around since 1948, and they are a very special kind of drive-in. And just before I go any further, I want to read to you a letter I received from someone asking us about this. It says, if you weren't planning on it, you may want to feature the Mahoning Drive-In Theater during your Drive-In Summer Series. It's an all-volunteer, exclusive 35mm retro theater and has been building quite a following the last 2 years. They have a documentary on the theater being released soon. This gentleman says, I work there on weekends driving 6.5 hours from New Hampshire to Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Started going as a fan, then offered to help, and now I'm on the staff. Who'd have thought? And this came from Mark Nelson, who works there. Mark, thank you for writing. Thank you for listening and for bringing it to our attention. I've been looking at the website, and we've been looking at the stuff going on, and they specialize in retro films. They're obviously not giving in to the digital the stuff that goes on. In the last few weeks, they've had some special stuff. This weekend was VHS night, VHS weekend, with 8 VHS movies. Over the last few weeks, they have done, they did a Christmas in July thing with the vacation movies. They did Director Spotlight with Tim Burton on Batman and Batman Returns. This weekend, as we're running this, they are running the Back to the Future trilogy. These guys are running all kinds of cool things, and I tell you, this is my kind of drive-in.
Definitely.
I mean, what kind of stuff they do? Oh, excuse me, Christmas in July is coming up next weekend. I'm sorry. They are doing a Too Cool for School weekend on July 21st and July 28th, doing Schlockorama 2017. They're open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only. And they got pictures all over their Facebook of the all-volunteer staff that go there, and it just sounds like a really, really cool place to go.
When you hear of a place like this that has an all-volunteer staff, that is fantastic. That shows how much of a labor of love it is, and how important it is not only to the community of people that live around there, but somebody that drives all the way from New Hampshire down there every weekend, gives their own free time and gas money.
While listening to Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer, I'll point out. Thank you, Mark.
That is really friggin' awesome.
Hope you'll spread the word about the show as we spread the word about the Mahoning Drive-In. And we're going to get in touch with the people who are making the documentary about this theater and see if we can get more information on that for another episode a little bit down the road. And until then, definitely I hope we're pronouncing it right. Lehighton, Pennsylvania, is where it's located. As we said, it is definitely someplace I would want to check out. And it is this week's Subject Cinema Drive-In Summer Salute. Salute! Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer is co-presented by Going Attractions, the definitive story of the American drive-in, from director April Wright. You can check it out right now on Amazon Prime or order the DVD at goingattractions.com.
Subject Cinema Drive-In Summer.
Now you can bring all your favorite PNR Network shows to your television. Check out PNR Networks on Roku. It's all of what PNR Networks has to offer, all in one place. The entire PNR Networks podcast family. Subject Cinema Reviews, Platinum Rose's Garden, Mirrorball Mayhem, 3-Minute Weekend, Cavebabble, and Mashed Up Madness. Plus the latest videos from PNR Networks and Larry 411. All right at your fingertips. And even more is on the horizon. It's literally thousands of hours, a decade worth of great audio and video, all under one roof. And best of all, it's all free. The PNR Network's Roku channel. Simply go to the On Roku area of any of our websites or click on the Roku button on the sidebar to subscribe. And don't forget to tell all your Roku-owning friends we're here as well.
eCinemaBoston is your best choice for all the latest news and info about happenings in the world of film here in the hub of the universe. Local theater listings, ticketing info, reviews of local venues, spotlight on Boston actors, the latest film shoots, and a whole lot more. If you're in the Metro Boston area, you need eCinemaBoston from PNR Networks. Once you visit, you will always be back for more. eCinemaBoston.com.
Subject Cinema Drive-In Summer. T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
headed off to the dark side of the moon and Moon 13 for this week's 13 report as we continue to report the new season of Mystery Science Theater 3000. And this week it's a double feature because we're doing them because they did 2 movies back to back that were the original and its sequel. And so we have a lot to talk about from Moon 13 and Jonah and the Bots and Kinga and, what's his name? Max. Wizards of the Lost Kingdom from 1988 and Wizards of the Lost Kingdom 2 from 1989.
Wizards of the Lost Kingdom, according to this, it came out in 85.
Oh, 85, okay.
Is the story of...
That actually would make more sense because it's a ripoff of the Neverending Story, and it's yeah, it makes more sense that it came out right around the same time, less than a year later.
Beginning with a prologue that adds absolutely nothing to the movie and has absolutely nothing to do with the movie, we get the story of a young man named Simon, who is the son...
you know his name is Simon, and the dreams do all come true. What?
Wrong.
Oh, wrong Simon? Okay, sorry.
Simon
Captain Kangaroo reference. Woohoo!
Stop it. Simon is the son of a young. He's the young son of a wizard, and unfortunately, the wizard winds up being killed when a military coup happens, and a sorcerer named Shirka, who was an advisor to the king, takes over the kingdom along with the king's traitorous queen, and he has the wizard killed. Simon goes on the run.
After losing his father's magic ring.
Yes.
Gotta make that a big point.
Yeah, which his father hid in the castle before he was killed.
No, he handed it to his son, and his son dropped it when he teleported out, and it fell into where it was hidden.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Simon winds up in the woods, and with his furry friend / bodyguard / walking carpet / Chewbacca ripoff / I don't know what the hell he's supposed to be.
Yeti!
Yeah. Who speaks something. I can't even call it gibberish because that's insulting gibberish. And they wind up finding a drunken warrior named Kor, who turns out that he was a great warrior at one point, but has since hit the skids and crawled into a bottle. But he winds up finding a reason to quit drinking and be a good warrior again in protecting young Simon, who is trying to get back to the castle to thwart evil Shirka and his evil minions, and it...
Minions? There's no minions in this movie. What are you talking about?
Honey, the word minions existed before Despicable Me.
It did?
Yes.
Oh.
That boy? No! And it goes on from there in a tale of swordplay and magic and... I can't go on.
With Vidal Peterson as Simon, Bo Svensson as Kor, Tom Christopher, who should have known better, as Shirka, Barbara Stock, who also should have known better, as Udea, Maria Sokas as Acracia, Dolores Michaels as Aura, Eduardo Moria, listed as Edward Morrow in the credits, as Wolfric, the big thing with the... Wasn't he the Wookiee thing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Old Simon and Gofax, Augusto Loretta as August Loretta as King Kylor, Michael Fontaine as Hurla, Marcos Walensky, known as Mark Wells in the movie, as Rongar, Marina Magali as Mary Gale, as Linnea, listed as Mary Gale in the credits. Plus Norman Freeman, Arch Gallo, Mark Peters, Rick Gallo, Patrick Duggan, Art Task, Carl Fountain, Ernie Smith, Nick Cord, Carl Garcia, Helen Grant, J.C. Topper, Richard Paley, and Daniel Ripari as various minute characters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had actually rented this film when it came out. I was a masochist. I enjoy Bo Svensson when he does good roles, and I like...
What that has to do with this movie, I have no
I liked
flipping
Vidal
idea.
Peterson when he was doing other stuff like playing Orson in Mork and Mindy. So, I thought maybe this might be fun. I was wrong from the very beginning, and I couldn't wait for Kim to see it because she'd never seen it before.
What did I ever do to you? When we talk about punishment, this isn't what I meant. I know, family show.
Real punishment was Little Dragons. see our masochistic March shows this year. It wasn't that bad.
Could you please put a wallet under my tongue or something?
Stop it. Anyway.
Oh, good grief.
What was wrong with this movie?
Everything. I am a fantasy fan going way back. And the biggest thing about a fantasy film that you need, in my opinion, to make a fantasy film work, the most important thing about the fantasy film is that you need to have a hero who is going on a quest that you, the audience member, care about. You care about this character and their quest, and you want them to succeed. Whether it's killing the dragon, saving the princess, or saving the dragon and killing the princess, or whatever the deal is, chucking a ring in a volcano, whatever. You have to want the character to succeed, because the character is your extension into that universe. Which is the biggest problem with this film, because Simon is one of the most annoying little F-ups I've ever seen, ever.
I don't think Simon is annoying. I think he's just naive. He's been raised in this castle, protected by his whole life, by his father and and his father's employer, the king. I don't think there's anything terribly bad about Simon, other than the fact that he's kind of a klutz and a doofus, and I mean that worked for Twilight, didn't it?
Yeah, it worked for Bella.
That's what I mean.
Because Bella's a girl.
Well, there's a role reverse version of Twilight out there that's done well.
I have to go throw up. I'll be right back.
So what happened on the Misty for this?
Okay. The Misty involved quite a number of things, including Max writing in his diary about how he is in love with Kinga, and also finding a strange slot that in the wall in Moon 13 that fits a key that he had also found. It turns out
that hard not to find the key as big as it was.
Yes, but Max is kind of dim.
Well, of course he's kind of dim. Patton Oswalt's playing him. Sorry, I can't stand him. Anyway.
Half of this duo would like to apologize to Patton Oswalt because, we don't know you and we're sure you're a lovely person. You
don't read his Twitter, apparently. Anyway.
It turns out that the key is actually... The key opens a lock which opens a chamber that has some sort of a large mechanical being in it that now considers Max to be its master. Cue dark foreshadowing scary music.
Or the opening title sequence, which is what really happened.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The invention exchange, Jonah offered up his invention, which are verbal smoke bombs. Ways to get out of conversations you don't want to be in.
Uh-huh.
I usually find just punching people and running away works, but
that's not a verbal smoke bomb.
No, but it's a lot more fun.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Kinga's invention was the sponsor clock, which had endorsements from corporations on every hour.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, don't we call that prime time?
Yeah, pretty much. And every football and race and everything else where they can't get away from the sponsors plastered all over the drivers' outfits or the walls of the stadium or whatever.
The cars,
Yeah.
Jonah, working on his spacesuit, and the bots are also wondering about how Kor got the title of being a conqueror and what is involved with that. We got Tom dressed up as Simon, trying to raise an army of zombies by doing a little necromancy. Zombies being played by multiple versions of Crow.
Or just one version of Crow that kept going back and forth.
I'm sorry, I've always been like, I think that the whole idea of raising up an army of the undead to be your unkillable soldiers, I think that's perfect. I think that's a great strategy. Nobody ever uses that. Jonah and the bots read some fan letters, and Kinga gets pissed because Jonah and the bots are obviously being beloved by people out there watching their adventures.
Considering the show hadn't premiered until all of them were available, I'd like to know where the fan mail came from. Anyway.
Jonah tries to market a play set based on the Suicide Caves, part of the movie that is about as exciting as watching paint dry. Kinga tells Max that Jonah's not quite out of the woods yet because there is a sequel to Warriors of the Lost Kingdom because the universe is cruel.
Yep. So the following episode, we kick off with Wizards of the Lost Kingdom 2. It has no bearing whatsoever on the first film. Can you give us a little rundown of that film?
Do I have to?
As little as possible.
Does anybody remember a show from the 80s called Mr. Merlin?
Yes.
Think of that, only having no charisma on the part of the character playing Merlin or the character playing his young apprentice, and you have Wizards of the Lost Kingdom 2. Ta-da!
That's a little less than we really needed to go for.
Oh, you want me to go further?
No, let me just sum it up with the plot
and
written
David
by
Carradine,
Concord.
And David Carradine's in it, which just makes me want to cry.
This is the Concord New Horizons, the company that released it on video. Their 3 kingdoms have been overtaken by 3 evil lords, and only Tyor, a teenage boy with magical powers, can restore peace to the land with the help of a bumbling elder wizard and a hero in each kingdom. Tyor fights alongside them and eventually becomes a powerful wizard in his own right. Bullshit.
I'm sorry, were they watching the same movie I was?
With Mel Wells as Cademon. Is that how you pronounce that?
I guess.
Robert Jane, then known as Billy Jacoby, as Tyor. David Carradine as the Dark One. Susan Lee Hoffman as Idun. Blake Bonner as Irman. Lana Clarkson as Amathia.
I think it was
Amathia. Henry Brandon as Zars. Wayne Grace as Vanner. Edward Blackoff as Loki. Sid Haig as Donar. Plus Diana Barton, Sharon Compton, W.T. Zakia, Dale Swan, Joseph Perry, Victoria Morcell, Christine Keelia, Brogan Young, Michael Melvin, Gary Rooney, Richard Brose, and Guth Withrich as various characters. Now, it's always fun. This was parody. This was meant to be funny. It's that bad. And it's that bad because it's not funny. Where else are you going to find in the Middle East, in the medieval days, Tyor, a kid, the only kid in this middle-aged Earth or whatever it is supposed to be, who walks around doing his spells and talking and being, kind of like very Michael Angarano-ish in the Forbidden Kingdom with a Brooklyn accent.
Yeah.
A thick Brooklyn accent.
Even though Michael in the Forbidden Kingdom was supposed to be from South Boston.
He didn't do it with Boston accent at all, but yeah. I had never seen the sequel. I was unaware they made a sequel until they announced the Misties this season. And in all fairness, I gotta give the guy credit. Bobby Jacoby, I don't know how it's pronounced for sure, was a competent young actor at the time. He did a lot of television episodics, much like his older brother Billy, who was on Parker Lewis Can't Lose, and was on a number of things. Billy was known as Billy Jane at that point. He had been Billy Jacoby earlier on in his career, where he has memorable guest roles in a lot of TV shows from the 80s, including The Golden Girls and a bunch of other stuff. Robert best known, Bobby best known probably for his role as the only teenage lead in Tremors, the 1991 horror comedy with Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, Michael Gross, and Reba McEntire, which if you've never seen it is absolutely hysterically funny and scary as hell. So I kind of was happy because I like him. I've always liked him. But here, it was like he was reading his lines off of a cue card. And doing all these
That's assuming they could afford cue cards.
Doing all these ridiculous spells that reminded me of the ridiculous kind of spells that they did in bad cartoons of the 50s, with this ridiculous wig on and that New York accent. I don't know if it's Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan. It's a New York accent, and it's thick.
Mm-hmm.
And wow.
And since we're in Boston and New York sucks. Sorry.
Oh, really? You're going to kill our listenership in New York. Will you stop
All right, New York doesn't suck, but,
Yankees suck, but New York doesn't suck.
Yeah, the Yankees suck, yeah. I mean, it's the whole New York-Boston thing. So,
Mel Wells is the star of this. Mel, best known as Mr.
Mushnick from the original version of Little Shop of Horrors.
So 30 years later, he was still under owing the company store of Roger Corman, apparently, because he's still working for him. David Carradine and Lana Clarkson have no business being in this film. Lana had done a ton of stuff for Roger in the 80s. This was one of her films, and Carradine,
Lana, who sadly probably gained more fame as the woman that was
murdered by Phil Spector in the 90s.
Woman that was killed by Phil Spector.
2000s, early 2000s.
Yeah. David Carradine, star of Kung Fu, the series, star of Kill Bill.
Later.
His
career was kind of on the skids at this point in time. He hadn't really had a hit, and this was before he would actually come to today's generation as Kung Fu The Next Generation took off in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
So,
and being resurrected, kind of, you could say his career anyway, with the Kill Bill films, Volume 1 and Volume 2, Quentin Tarantino's
here he's
homage.
just kind of sleepwalking through his films or drinking his way through the films. I don't know which, because he sounds drunk all the time.
And it's just embarrassing.
It is. This movie is embarrassing. It's terrible. It's really terrible.
I mean, especially
it makes the first movie look like Shakespeare.
Especially for me, the part that is really, really frightening and sad is the fact that Sid Haig, who is a character actor that I first saw, I'm really sorry.
Sid Haig, whenever you see Sid Haig, you know him. Mm-hmm. It's impossible not to know him.
I'm really sorry I'm going to say it this way, sir. Who I remember from when I was a child, watching Jason of Star Command. He played the bad guy Drago. Was it Drago or Dragus or something like that?
Is that where he was?
Yeah.
I was thinking it was Captain Power. It was Jason of Star Command.
No, it was Jason of Star Command.
All right, yeah.
If you see him in the Rob Zombie movies like House of a Thousand
Corpses,
Corpses,
he's done all of Rob's movies,
and The Devil's Rejects,
he is scary.
Horrifying in these movies.
He's best known for all the women in prison movies of the 80s that were filmed in the Philippines, where he usually plays a prison guard or a warden or something.
And I'm like, he is truly a terrifying figure in the Rob Zombie movies.
And here you just want to point and laugh.
And here it's just like,
you owed Roger Corman a favor, didn't you, Sid?
Seriously. Wow. The interstitial stuff, the host segments, we begin with a prologue with Jonah and the bots, who are having kind of a downer sort of a day because it's raining.
It's raining. And the bots are doing something.
Because it's raining. They can't go out and play because it's raining.
In the city of Townsville.
And it's also in outer space, so how the hell it's raining, I have absolutely no frickin' idea.
It's not in outer space. They're on the moon.
Oh, well...
I don't think the moon has rain. It's very dry, but, it does...
Well, he's on the satellite of love, though.
Oh, yeah, he's not on the surface.
Yeah,
that's true.
Right.
True enough. Okay.
They're on the satellite in outer space, and it's raining. WTF. Anyway,
Well, maybe Blossom and Bubbles and Buttercup will come play with them.
You can't see me, but I'm totally face-palming right now.
Yes. Powerpuff Girls' best rainy day adventure ever. Go check it out.
One of the best Powerpuff Girls
The best
episodes
Powerpuff Girl episode.
It's
Yeah,
one
anyway.
of them, anyway.
And the original show.
The Invention Exchange. Jonah and the Bot's invention is GIF notes or GIF notes or however you say that. GIF.
GIF. I always say GIF.
Well, you're the computer person, so
You say GIF. It's either one's right.
Okay. For people for people who Cliff Notes are still too much for, they came up with GIF notes, which are, literature in emoji form. And if we ever get to this point, somebody please shoot me.
You mean we're not there already with the Emoji Movie coming out and Candy Crush hitting the TV as a game show? I think we are getting there already.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
I don't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh, we haven't watched that yet. We can't do that yet. Anyway.
Kinga and Max come up with
deep breath.
Punt bunnies.
Oh my God, you should have seen her face. It was a riot.
I don't know what it says about me. Actually, I know what it says, but I don't want to think about it. The fact that I can watch scenes of human beings being tortured and eviscerated within an inch of their lives, but somebody kicks a stuffed rabbit and...
She goes...
Yeah, I completely have a,
I'm sitting there totally hysterical at her reaction to that. It's bad.
I had a complete nuclear meltdown.
It was funny as hell.
I admit it. The next segment involves Jonah and the Bots trying to host a video that's supposed to be suggesting a franchise for Dark One's Renaissance Bar and Grill.
Dark One is the character played by David Carradine in the film.
Yeah.
And he has to... He tends to be running a bar with his
He runs a bar
lusty
with,
wife.
with his wife who table dances.
Mm-hmm. I don't get it either.
Oh gosh, that sounds like
it's a long way away from Kane. Anyway.
That is a Dr. Phil episode just waiting to happen. Segment 3 involves Crow and Tom trying to find out why people consider wizards to be funny, and Jonah talks with them about the whole wizard comedy craze from the 1980s.
Uh-huh. What?
Yeah.
WTF? What?
I'm like, okay. Anyway. Segment 4 involves the fact that Kinga is upset that the new Mystery Science Theater 3000 is not getting the ratings she wants. I mean...
Again, see, we made all of these shows before we premiered because we run on Netflix, so you don't have any ratings at this point.
Yeah.
Plot point only.
Well,
anyway.
not really.
I don't want people freaking out thinking that they're going to get canceled.
Not really.
Not.
Considering the fact that, Kinga is insane,
Well, yeah, but so is her father and grandmother.
Yeah.
So,
and not insane in a good way like you and me,
Yeah.
She asks her grandma Pearl for advice, who's coming through the area and gets absolutely nowhere, and comes up with the brilliant idea that to get more ratings, to get more people talking about Mystery Science Theater 3000 and watching, they're going to have a wedding. Specifically, she's going to get married to Jonah.
I don't think Jonah knows this yet.
No. I think Jonah's really kind of in the dark about this.
Yep.
And I think once he finds out about it...
He's not going to be happy.
You remember that scene in Godzilla when Godzilla shows up in downtown Tokyo's harbor and everyone has that look of frozen horror on their face? That's pretty much going to be the look Jonah has.
Oh, hopefully Max will help him out of this. Max, who really loves her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh, if we have some kind of homage to The Graduate, I'm going to cry.
Oh, God.
The final segment is
really
Jonah.
Overrated film.
Huh?
Another really overrated film, anyway.
Well, could be worse. Could be the season ender of Dynasty that one year.
The Moldavian Massacre? Yeah.
Yeah, massacre.
Hundreds
right.
of people, not one drop of blood.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Terrorists spray the entire church with gunfire. One person dies off camera, and the other person who dies is the gay lover of Stephen Carrington, who died to appease Kansas.
Anyway.
Sorry, Kansas. Segment 5 is Jonah trying to come up with good movies to wipe away the slime. Slime stench. From this film, but it's not really working very well because this movie is just so pervasively
bad,
soul-crushingly bad.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. Jonah, if you need a hug, I'm available, man.
And the next hug is coming in the form of Carnival Magic, the next film on Mystery Science Theater 3000's 11th season. And we will be bringing that to you on the next edition of the 13 Report. Well, after 2 weeks away, I think we've earned our reputation back with some great stuff on this week's show. Next week on Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer, we're going to focus on the biker movies, the biker genre that started in the late 60s, took off with the Wild Angels, but actually had a few movies before that.
Definitely.
And it ran through the early 70s. I had a stepfather who absolutely adored those films.
Thankfully,
he was in his early 20s at the time, and he was the perfect demographic for it. And we'll be running all those down. Plus, of course, we'll have the 13 Report and everything else on next week's show. Premiering this Thursday, a week late, Subject Cinema's The Real Recipe. We're going to do an 8-week miniseries devoted to food and films. We'll be talking about movies that feature food in the films or plot lines that involve food. We'll be talking about the films themselves. One big film. We'll discuss other films around that stuff. We'll bring up some television food shows. We'll have a recipe or two. And Eric and Valerie Lyon will join us, as well as other members of the Lyon family, with their Cavebabble Eats Odd Things segment, which will be coming in as part of the Real Recipe. And we hope that you will listen to it. It will take the place of Front Row 5 and 10 for the next 8 weeks, and we hope that you enjoy it. And that'll be coming up on Thursday evening. Day and date will be July 13th, if I'm not mistaken. Now, a little bit serious note here. Wednesday, July 12th, is Save Net Neutrality Day. It is being run by the Internet Defense League. We have been participants in previous campaigns, including the SOPA protest in 2010 or 2011. We will be a part of this one as well, which means on Wednesday, July 12th, day and date, as you're listening to this, it is this coming Wednesday, all PNR Network sites will appear only with the Internet Defense League banner and the information you need to know about the Save Net Neutrality. This is something that we are very deeply involved in. I tend to be conservative in my political views, but I don't agree with most of the idiot conservatives in Washington who seem to think net neutrality means government control. No, it doesn't. It means a true and free Internet for everyone. And it is important that we get this through. So, we'll get this right in a minute. Subject Cinema will also be a part of that, our separate summer site, as well as all of the PNR Network sites, eCinemaOne, eCinemaBoston, Platinum Rose's Garden, Comic, Grotto, and our other blog-only sites will all be down in favor of this on Wednesday, July 12th. So if you come over and you see this, you'll know what it's about.
Yep.
Our other shows on the air right now, you are going to be back in the studio in the next week or so with some summer stuff for Platinum Rose's Garden.
Yes, Platinum Rose's Garden is my supernatural podcast where I look at the TV show Supernatural going into its 13th season this October on the CW. Right now, the show is not on the air.
It's all this past season stuff is up, plus other past seasons.
You can listen to my episode recaps for the past season if you'd like. I will be doing some shows later on in the summer talking about fan fiction And hopefully you will go check those out over at PlatinumRosesGarden.com.
Catastrophe Vortex will return on a new day, Saturdays, starting this coming Saturday. My disaster movie show devoted to good, in between, bad, and all other genres of disaster movies, plus real disasters and music disasters, and a few other things. I've been away for a month again. I promise it will get better as the summer goes on, and we move to Saturdays. I'm promoting your show, because you're on Saturdays usually, too. CatastropheVortex.com. Our newest show is Comic Grotto with Aunt B and Pee Wee. They are talking comics all the time. Specific comics, comic series, a lot more. It's funny as hell. It's not safe for work, and you definitely should check it out at comicgrotto.com. Plus, we have stuff going up all the time on our two main websites, eCinemaOne.com for all things film, and eCinemaBoston.com for all things film in Boston. We bring you special playlists. We're going to be doing I'm still trying to get the Netflix, Fandor, and Amazon Video thing running every week. We're going to be bringing back our play this feature, playlists geared for a particular new movie or something with all kinds of great music. Playlists provided by Spotify, and we will also be doing a bunch of other new stuff, including new trailers and all kinds of stuff every week. Check us out. Read us every day. eCinemaOne.com, eCinemaBoston.com, and don't forget we have two mini shows that come out through the weekend as well. Through the week as well. Tuesday Digidex on Tuesdays covers home video releases. 3-Minute Weekend on Fridays covers theatrical releases. Each show is about 6 to 7 minutes long, despite 3-Minute Weekend's title, and gives you the rundown on all the films you can expect to see on home video or in the theaters that week. Check us out, and you can subscribe to that and all the other shows by going to our websites and clicking the subscribe button, choosing your choice of a podcast provider, be it iTunes or someone else. And don't forget, we started a Patreon campaign in November, and it hasn't gone very well. And we really, really, really need some help getting some new equipment, and nobody has ponied up as yet. We're only asking for up to, starting at $2 a month. It's not that much. Please don't say other people will do it, I don't need to. That's not the truth. We need everybody to do it. And the more you can contribute, the higher the level you go, the cooler perks are, and you'll get mentioned on the show for being part of the Patreon campaign, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And we hope that you'll take the time to donate. Patreon.com/PNRNetworks. Remember that your donation covers not just this show, not just Subject Cinema, but all of the PNR sites and podcasts.
Yep.
So please remember that. Biker shows next week.
Yep, gonna hit the
and
road.
It's gonna be fun. And most drive-ins are friendly to bikers.
I would think so.
They have great seats that don't block vision, and they're a terrific way to see everything.
I think so too.
On that note. Until next time, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
For Subject Cinema, may your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
We'll see you at the drive-in.
Bye now.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2017 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
The